value proposition canvas. First of all, let's understand why. As in all the European programs, it's important to understand that impact is the main aim of the activities we perform. In this specific case, impact means improving the quality of life of the AAL beneficiaries. But it's also clear that if our solution, our innovation is not used, no way we generate an impact. No use, no impact. And what is the biggest mistake, or the first mistake that we research teams or startup who are willing to go to market, meaning for going to market, who are willing to have their innovation used? Developing something nobody wants. And this happens more often for people like us who is involved with technical stuff. We are very much solution oriented. We like the technology. We like doing what we do, but this doesn't automatically mean that what we innovated, what we developed, meets the need of somebody else. So we need to do our best to avoid this mistake. And this is a big challenge. It's a big challenge for everybody, because working on something which nobody needs brings a lot of drawbacks, and at the end of the day, doesn't allow us to go to market, and doesn't allow us to pave the way toward use, which at the end of the day, all of this results in a lack of impact. So we need something that helps out in creating value, helps us in creating value for customers, because if we don't have customers, we cannot ensure use. So at the end of the day, something that allows us to better manage or lower the risk of failure. So this is related to the value proposition, something that allows us to highlight and work on the benefits that the customer is expecting from an innovation, is expecting from us, in order to better perform their daily jobs, which at the end of the day is what counts. This value proposition can be approached using different methodologies, tools, and processes. We found the value proposition design by Osterwalder and its people the most appropriate one, and also the most interesting for teams dealing with innovation coming out from research activities and coming out from the lab. Just to give you an overview where the value design with the value proposition canvas start. It starts at the very, very beginning of, let's say, a development process. Here you see the development process, which is typical of the approach of the Lean Startup Academy. But if you look at it, and if you look at it with different eyes, you will find this process very, very similar, if not identical, to, let's say, the scientific method, which is used in our lab, which is used in the daily life of any researcher. When you make hypotheses, you design your experiment to test and validate your assumptions, and you use the results of the experiment to learn and make progresses. So please, please don't look at this as something new, because this is something that everybody developing an innovation is supposed to do every day, applying the scientific method. So what is the value proposition canvas? The value proposition canvas is based on two main components: the customer profile, which somehow helps us in identifying the features, the characteristics of our customer target group. Characteristics that we at the beginning assumed, but then applying the scientific methodology, we need to observe and verify and validate, observe and verify, hopefully in real life. And the value map, which describes the benefits that we are willing to bring or to provide with our customer with our innovation. Customer profile that gives a snapshot of our customer target group, and value map that provides a picture of our solution in terms of benefit it is able to provide. Again, value map, the solution, customer profile, the target group, and of course, if the value map matches the customer profile, then our solution is a good solution. Now, there are two ways of looking the matching, or two ways of developing a solution. One way is what is called product-inspired innovation. We have our value map, and then we look at potential customer profiles that match the value map. Product-inspired innovation. Or the situation where we have a customer profile and we develop a solution that matches the feature and the characteristics of our customers. And let's say a need-based approach, a bottom-up approach, a challenge-oriented approach, whatever we want to call it, at the end of the day, it's always a customer-inspired innovation. So this is what we are going to talk about, and I will try to guide you through value proposition canvas and explain how to approach it and use it. So first of all, we start with the customer profile. And customer profile, we can use the Canvas, the templates available online, and it's, at least for the first interaction, is based on brainstorming, hopefully with our colleagues, hopefully with somebody coming from that specific target group the customer profile is considering, and using the sticky notes on the template in order to start putting things on paper. And the first thing we need to do is to choose a customer profile, and we are supposed to have performed the link canvas earlier. So we take from the link canvas one of the customer segments identified. Better if we start with early adopters, and we focus on that specific customer segment. Of course, a customer segment is a group of people or organization that have similar characteristics and features. And of course, there are different ways to cluster them because of their demographics, because of their location, the way they behave, or other kind of attitudes. But the first thing is to segment and choose a customer segment. Then we can start working on the canvas. And here, just to make things a little bit more concrete, I have an example for you. I have an example where the customer are taxi passengers. And of course, in order to identify them as much as we can, these are taxi passengers in Brussels or in wherever city. Step number one, customer profile and identification of target group, customer segment. Then we need to focus on their jobs. What that specific customer segment is trying to get done. In this case, the guy wants to call for a taxi, get the taxi, find the taxi, give direction, and pay. These are the things he would like to obtain when taking a taxi in Brussels. But of course, in doing this job, he feels some pain, which means that things that may go wrong when performing the job, which is have to wait too long, had to cope with an unsafe driver, had to fight with other willing to do the same, or maybe paying too much for what we were getting. And it's not that we only have to feel pains, but we also would like to have gains. So some benefit, something that makes our job more enjoyable. For example, finding the seats clean, getting additional services when on board, like connection to Wi-Fi, or experiencing a very easy way to pay the ride, easy and fast. So jobs, pain we face when performing the jobs, and hopefully the gains that makes our job enjoyable or a positive experience. And of course, the gains are not connected to the pains in terms of what happens if I release the pain. Because, for example, a clean seat or Wi-Fi is something which is not related to having to wait or being overcharged or having to compete with others. Or not even a professional driver is not strictly connected to an unsafe driver. I'm saying this because we observe when doing this exercise a lot of, let's say, cross-talking in between pains and gains. While one thing is bad things that can happen, a different story are the things that make my job enjoyable. So once I've done the first setup, then we need to start applying our scientific method, do the experimentation, asking around, and prioritizing jobs, pay, and gains. So jobs according to the importance, paying according to their severity, and gain according to the relevance or how essential they are at the customer eyes. So at that point, we are able to rank jobs, pains, gains. So just to sum up, we need to come up with something that tells us what really matters to our customers when they have to perform their job. So we select the customer segment, identify the jobs, pains, the gains, and do the prioritization. Now it's time to take care of the value map and to describe how our solution, our innovation, our product or service creates value. So we have the customer profile done and prioritized, and we do the same process we did with the customer profile with the canvas for the value map. So we download it and we start the brainstorming process. First of all, what is our solution offering In this case, the example, for some strange reason, it's about an app for the smartphone. Pain relievers, we need to highlight what are the features of our solution that is supposed to alleviate customer pains. Of course, the customer pains are the way we understand them. So allowing instant booking, allowing payment without cash, having the possibility to assign driver, and having the possibility to monitor or have an estimation about the costs. And of course, we also highlight what, according to us, are the gain creators. So the feature of our solution, they're supposed to create gains for our customer target group. Like, for example, allowing to do this quicker, or having an idea of where we are on the map, giving us the possibility to assign rates, or to have an idea about how our driver has been rated. When we have done this, we apply the scientific methodology, and again, we rank products, pain relievers, and gain creator from nice to have to essential. And we do this again with the customers. Same process, with the main objective to describe how we are going to create and deliver value in terms of pain relievers and gain creators. Now we have the two maps, the value map and the customer profile. And we need to understand how the two things match. So we go through from pains and pain relievers, gains and gain creators, and understand which are the ones that match and which are the ones that don't. And of course, we may iterate until we don't find the best possible fit in between what our customer expects and what we are able to bring and give. Once we came out with the best fit in between the customer profile, which is the one that rules, and the value map, which is the one we were able to develop through iteration, also with product development, using the Lean Startup approach. Once we have this clear, then we can use the result of the value proposition canvas, also for another purpose, which is very, very important, and which is a very, very short pitch, few seconds, or an introduction to a proper pitch, or a hint to be able to describe our solution in a clear way in a very short time. In working with research teams, and in working with research teams or with development teams in AAL, we all felt on ourselves how difficult it is to explain our solution in a very simple and clear way in a very short time, and how difficult it is to grab the attention of the person listening to us, or to, the attention of an audience, being able to deliver the right message. The value proposition canvas, once properly done, can help us in doing this, because it can help with a very simple template, which we can almost automatically fill in based on the information collected with the canvas. So we already have from the product and service description, which is the most interesting solution we bring to market. We already have the customer segment that goes, in this case, is taxi passengers. We already have the job to be done, and even the most important job for that customer segment. And we have from the customer pain what is the most painful activity for that specific customer segment. And we also have what is the most important gain. So using this template, we are able to, in few seconds, say that our app helps taxi passengers who want to book a taxi by minimizing waiting time for a taxi and making them enjoying affordable prices, unlike typical taxi services booked by phone. And this gives a snapshot on the competition. So this is how to use the value proposition canvas and why the value proposition canvas is important. It's important to help us out in fine-tuning our solution, but it also helps us in being able to pitch and grab the attention and communicate the added value of our solution, having in mind that it's always important to apply the scientific method, validating our assumption with customers, better if with early adopters, the one we identified running the Lean Canvas, and and iterate up until we are happy with the result obtained. So this is what I wanted to say. I don't know if there are questions.
We could imagine different types of customers. Does it mean one value proposition for all of them or different value propositions? And this is a good question.
The value proposition canvas has to be run for each type of customer, because each type of customer usually has different jobs to perform. So at the end of the day, the answer is yes. We should have a value proposition for each of them. And it's very, very important to identify who the customers are and to identify and I have clear in mind, I would say, the difference in between customers and users. And let me be more explicit here. Happen, for example, within the AAL environment or ecosystem, that we developed a solution for I mean, people with dementia, okay? And in order to facilitate providing them with care and support. In this case, the customer to be addressed are, for example, the relatives of the people suffering from dementia. Because by definition, the people suffering from dementia, they will not be able to purchase a solution or to be customers. So the customer are, for example, the relatives, or the customers are the informal caregivers. The relatives may employ to provide care to their parents. And if we start thinking of the segmentation, then each of these potential target group does different jobs during the day and has different sets of pains and different sets of gains. And this calls for different value proposition. And this also calls for maybe a more customized design of the solution if there is a target group which is the most important for us to address.
While trying to identify gains and pains, do we compare with existing non-competitors or a situation without the proposed solution, or both?
I would say that we need to understand when we do, when we profile our solution and when we do the value map, and in selecting the pain relievers and the gain creators, of course, we need to benchmark with our competitors. And we need to keep in mind how, I mean, to consider only the ones where we relieve the pain much better than competition, or we provide a gain which is much better than the one from competition. So the pains and the gains need to be validated with customers. But when we do the value map, we also need to keep in mind what is called alternative solutions coming from the Lean Canvas. And this is why the value map comes after the link canvas, because we need to be clear that if we design a solution with a certain set of added value, with a certain set of pain relievers and gain creators, we need to be sure that they are much better than the ones provided by the competition.
Do we look at potential customer, or could we imagine a broader analysis taking into account the impact of the proposed solution for AAL stakeholders or organizations involved?
We look at the ones who will pay for the solution. We look at customers. Now, if stakeholders, organizations fall into the category of being themselves customers, fine. Otherwise, we forget. The main assumption here is that we need to make sure that our solution is used, which means we need to make sure that we have enough resources to bring the solution into use and get it adopted by the customers. Stakeholders, other organizations, if they don't provide us with this, then we should not focus on them, or they should not be a priority target group. First, we need to concentrate on customers. Thank you very much for attending.